Your boy's a dummy, and I forgot to press record for the first 30 seconds of the interview. But this is Jake Noecker from Home of Fight, joined by Joe Schilling, who is returning to combat sports May 23rd at PFL Brussels. All you missed is that, me asking Joe how he's doing, him saying good. Here's the rest of the interview. Enjoy. Nothing since 2024 combat sports wise. No MMA since, I believe, what, 2021?
2019.
2019. Oh, I wrote 2029. That's where I messed up. But why the return? I guess, like, what enticed you to come back?
Well, the pandemic is what kind of ended my career to begin with, and I had to pivot. I had two fights fall through during the pandemic, and prior to the pandemic, the pandemic started like 2 weeks before my fight. I did a big training camp and didn't got put on hold. Like everybody, life got put on hold for a year, and then when we came back, we were doing the bubble, they were calling it, where it was like super protected, and did the whole training camp again. Flew out to Connecticut for the fight, and one of my coaches had a false positive for COVID, so they canceled the fight. Then, haven't fought for a year. I was like 30, 39 at that point, and booked another fight for another promotion, and did another full training camp, worked hard, and the week before the fight, the Omicron virus or whatever it was canceled that show also. So, that has been a long time. I'm, damn near 40 years old. I have a family to take care of. I had to pivot and make some other changes and moves, and I got into the movie industry. Since then, I haven't fought, but I've done, I don't know, 3 or 4 movies and multiple TV shows and doing whatever. So I fought Luke Rockhold a little over a year ago, I think, and that one was like last minute call on like 2 weeks notice for karate combat against a former world champion. Didn't work out, but it was a good way to jump back in there. And then nothing again, back to the movies and the other stuff. And this one, I got a call. I had plenty of notice. They gave me like 12 weeks notice. Woke up to a phone call at like 7 a.m. offering me a good payday and a former world champion. So I was all about it. So I think it's a blessing, and it gives me an opportunity to go back. And if this is my last fight, which I'm not saying it is, but if it is, no excuses, no short notice, world champion fighter, I'm excited about it. I think it's a great opportunity.
And you said PFL called you. So were you like hunting or shopping at all free agent wise, or was it just a random call and PFL made it enticing to come back?
Yeah, I think it was the people that were doing that kind of stuff for Bellator are now doing it for PFL, so they know. When they want a no shit fight, they know who to call. And,
they know where to find you, bro.
Yeah, and this was definitely a no shit fight. Who doesn't want 2 former glory champions fighting with 4-ounce gloves? And that's what they're going to get. So I was immediately yes, and I was doing my thing. I had 2 movies come out this month. I'm doing other stuff. This call came through, and I jumped all over it. I think it's a great opportunity.
And before I ask you about, what's next in the fight world and this fight specifically, I was going to talk about the movies, and I took it out just because of time, but we got a lot of time, it seems. So what are you getting into movie-wise? I know people have seen you and stuff before, but break it down. What do you got going on now? What's coming up?
I just the show MIA on Peacock. I had a nice little part on that. Did some stunt work with that as well, and worked with a lot of the fight choreography in that show, and that just came out I think last week. And then the Star Wars Mandalorian movie, it's going to be a huge box office thing that drops I think this week. So it's been exciting times for me in that. It's been nice to be able to pivot from the fight game and not be able to support my family and do other things, So it's been a blessing, and to be able to go back now years later and fight a world champion and go out, finish my career the way it should have been finished is also a blessing. So it's been nice seeing Jim Miller get the job done last weekend, and Sean Strickland, and on this card we have Vincent Henderson fighting, so it's the old American guys versus the younger Europeans, and fucking I'm stoked for it.
Big Mandalorian fan, so can't wait for the movie. That comes out a night before your fight, which is very symbolic. But did you see Gina Carano yesterday talking about at the press conference fighters should get into movies and stunts and all that? It's like a perfect fit. Did you see that?
Yeah, I didn't see that, but one of my best friends in the world, Kevin Ross, is Gina's husband, so I've I think she did a great job acting, and it was unfortunate the way that played out over the pandemic and all that stuff, but it worked out great for them in the end. And I wish Gina all the best of luck this weekend, and all my friends fighting on that card. I think it's a great opportunity for all of them and for the sport in general.
You think Gina can get it done against Ronda Rousey unbiasedly?
Yeah, I think stylistically it's pretty standard matchup, striker versus grappler, and I'm friends with Ronda as well, and I hope she does well, and I think that the whole thing is great. I hope Gina wins. That's really all I can say.
Yeah, man, super excited for it. And before I ask you about your fight right now, you did say you're not sure if this is the last one yet. We'll see what happens, but regardless of that, I guess, like, is there anything else you feel you have to do in combat sports? I know your legacy is sealed, in my opinion, but any other fights, any other accolades you still want to achieve?
I still watch the fights, and I still get the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, and I still criticize the guys, and I still have it. Sparring, getting back to sparring and training full time and doing all that stuff. The first week I was like, fuck, do I still got this? And then now I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. I had some great sparring partners, some great training partners, and I'm as good now and as good a shape as I've ever been. So we'll see. I think MMA is a lot of work, bro. It's a lot more work than kickboxing. It's a lot harder on the body. It
sucks.
It's fucking, dude. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I think that I think that's a huge advantage for me that I've done it 10 times, but trained for 4 more of those fights with the fights that got canceled. So I've had 14 MMA training camps, and this guy I'm fighting is having his first one. And I think that I know it's a huge advantage to me knowing how naive he is mentally going into this, because I've been in his exact same shoes. I've been the guy that thought, I'm just going to be a kickboxer and they won't take me down. And it's a real humbling experience when you start doing the grappling and the wrestling and the realizing how hard and how far that road is he's still got to climb. And I plan on exposing that on Saturday.
And that was actually my next question. Does this being his debut mean anything? You answered it perfectly. So after that, Donegi Abena, extremely excited. He's been talking about his MMA debut for years, so very excited it's going to happen. Even more excited it's against you. Any thoughts on Abena? Any prior encounters with him?
He had sent me a message on Instagram, maybe like a little over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, just asking about MMA. And I didn't know him. When I left Glory, I didn't continue to watch Glory. I moved on to other things, and I didn't think that Glory had necessarily went up in competition level after I left. I think that it kind of went down in competition level. So I wasn't really overly impressed with a lot of the guys there, but, since booking this fight, I've gone back and paid attention to him, and he's a big, strong young kid, and that's about all that I can say about it. I think that stylistically, I don't think he's anybody that I can't beat, and I think there's definitely some flaws that I plan on exposing. But yeah, he had sent me a message just asking about what the transition from MMA was like, and I told him point blank and warned him then, and it's kind of surreal that years later his MMA debut is against me. He had mentioned that he was going to get it back for Melvin Manhoff in Dutch kickboxing or whatever, because I had knocked out Melvin. Yep. We'll see. We'll see.
A lot of times when two renowned strikers go up against each other, you get 15 minutes of grappling. Any way that happens here, like, how do you see this fight going down?
I don't know. I see the fight as a stand-up war. I think it's going to be speed and experience versus, youth and strength. And he's definitely a lot bigger than me. I think I could probably still make middleweight next week if I wanted to. When we saw the fight, we were like, this dude's fucking huge. It wasn't like I'm going to try to bulk up and match that. That's not going to happen. So we just started game planning. Like, all right, he's big and he's young. What does he not know? What does he not experience? And how much faster am I? How much faster can I be? How can I take advantage of all those opportunities? And, we're going to find out how that plays out next week.
So you're not cutting much for this. You're going to be coming in right around 205, you think?
Yeah, right around. I could make the weight this week.
I love it, man. Body will love that too, instead
Yeah.
of a crazy weight cut. But this doesn't have to be shit talk. It certainly can be. But any message you want relayed over to Donegi Abena?
I got really nothing against the guy. He keeps saying in interviews, tell Joe Schilling I'm coming. That's my best accent. Tell him I'm coming. I'm coming. I'll let you know. Since 2020, I've been fucking waiting. I've been waiting.
You see, he's been training with Ciryl Gane at all. Does that play into this at all?
If I was going to fight Joe Schilling, the last person I would be training with is Ciryl Gane.
Is it the point striking versus the knockout aspect? Is what I'm guessing.
What do you mean?
Ciryl Gane, in my opinion, Ciryl Gane is more of a point striking kickboxer, if you will. You're known for some of your highlight reel knockouts.
Oh, I just think that, like, stylistically, I think I'm a shit ton faster than Ciryl Gane.
Gotcha.
I think that my punch combinations are way different than Ciryl Gane. I think my movement patterns are way different than Ciryl Gane. And everybody he's been sparring with, he did what I did as a kickboxer. He sparred with kickboxers. He sparred with Dutch kickboxers. I don't know one Dutch. Maybe you do. You're an MMA media guy. Who is another Dutch kickboxer that has Dutch kickboxing style that's been successful at the high level of MMA? Ever.
Well, Renier de Ridder is a Dutch kickboxer, but he doesn't really have a Dutch kickboxing style. You know what I mean?
He's Dutch. That's about all he is.
There you go.
Dutch. He's Dutch, but definitely not a kickboxer.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know.
But
you have
that
a good
stand
point
in
there.
front of you, high guard, you throw, I throw, you throw, I throw, you throw, I throw. That's never going to work. I mean, I've shown it with the other Dutch kickboxers that I fought that my style is different. The two guys that he fought, their styles are more similar to mine would be Artem Vakitov, and he got lit up, and Pereira, and he got lit up. So I don't know how this. I'm not talking shit. That's where I see the fight. I think that my movements and style and speed is going to be, what it is, and I got to avoid the big shots that he throws. And yeah, if I drop him or he drops me or we end up on the back ground, I haven't fought since 2020, but been training with a lot of really high level grapplers over those years.
You got like a belt in jiu-jitsu or anything, or just
Purple.
MMA style? Purple. Yeah, see,
multiple jiu-jitsu competitions. Jake Shields, one of my best friends.
good person to know on the mats right there, man.
It's there's a long road of
The lineage.
experience in MMA. This is not a kickboxing fight.
And we were just talking about Ciryl Gane. You mentioned Alex Pereira. I was going to ask you anyways, who takes that fight at the White House?
I think the same style. I think that the speed and length and movement patterns of Pereira is going to be pretty easy. Either one of those guys you don't want to get hit by too many times. And I think Pereira is just going to be way faster, way longer, and have way better explosive movement. Being big and strong and swinging big, slow, heavy shots are dangerous, but those boom, the fast ones, they sting. And I think that with those 4-ounce gloves, I think speed kills.
Now, for years in MMA, it's recently it's been Dagestanis, wrestlers kind of dominating things, and I'm seeing a switch, right? I mean, one, we have you and Donegi, which is a high level striking match on the PFL card. Sean Strickland just took out Hamzat. Dakota Ditcheva is a star. Alex Pereira, Ciryl Gane, even. I think the strikers are coming back. Do you agree with that? And if so, why?
Yeah, I think that the matchmakers are finally making the right matchups. The reality is that the matchmakers control who becomes a star and who doesn't, and you can be the best guy in the world, and a matchmaker can give you every bad matchup in the world, and you'll never be nothing. Or you could be not that great of a fighter, but for the right matchmaking, you can be a superstar. I think probably one of my as I've gotten older and look back on life on where I zigged where I should have zagged or things I could have done differently, I just always took fights, and I was always even the Rockhold fight, 3 weeks notice out of a 5-year off the couch doing movies. I'm always the guy that raises his hand and takes those fights, and 7 years layoff, fighting this 28-year-old guy, it's probably the same thing. But when the fights, I've been able to build my name and my recognition and, you know, what I've done in the sport in that set. So I prefer that, but I've never been protected and never had, I've never turned down a fight ever, you know? So I think that it's, I think the fans want to see it. People are just getting tired of watching the grappling and stuff. And I think the matchmaking has just gotten that much better. So we're seeing those more exciting matchups, you know?
Tell me if I'm wrong, but your home base is still at the Yard, correct?
Yeah, I own the Yard in LA. I actually moved to Las Vegas last year. Just my son had graduated high school and we didn't really have to be there anymore. So we got out of LA. LA's gotten a little weird the last 5 years, like most of the country. And yeah, we wanted to change. So we moved to Vegas, and then I still go back and forth like once a week. I'm like 3 days in Vegas, 3 days in LA, which has been challenging, but it's been cool too. So I get to, you know, work at the PI and work with all these high level MMA guys, and then go back and work with my team back in LA. So it's been nice.
That's what I was going to ask. In Vegas, where are you training? And it's primarily at the PI?
Yeah, the PI and at Capetillo Boxing with Brandon Capetillo. There's a lot of high level boxers over there. I've been training with him since I got here, a little over a year. So yeah, even before I had this fight called, it was like I need to still be in the mix and doing stuff. And I was like, I started boxing, just specifically boxing. I actually was looking to get a boxing fight with Misfits. We were on the short list for Darren Till a few times, and he just continues to turn down those fights and take fights with 135-pound midgets and all the easy fights that are possible for him. So maybe someday that'll come back around, but we'll see. But it's been fun, and they got a great program over there. I've had some great training, so I'm really looking forward to this fight.
Well, so the Darren Till fight is still possible, is what you're saying.
I mean, if he wants to man up and do it, I don't see it happening. He's going to fight like, I don't know what he's going to fight. And God bless him, whatever. You know, I wouldn't fight me either if I was him.
Now, this is just me being a dirty journalist and prying, but how does that potential fight look like someday?
I mean, a boxing match, I think it's a decent fight. I think I beat him. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out Saturday. But I just look at this. I don't want to be a hater, but you look at these guys and they fucking suck, dude. Like they still suck. Like you look at you see Mike Perry's warm up, his pad work at the MVP thing this weekend. Yes. Like, come on, bro. Are you drunk? Like he looked drunk, right? Like,
well, he looked better than Nate Diaz just smoking a joint, right?
Well, no, it's because Nate's smart, and he's like, I'm not gonna fucking give this shit away. But what's funny to me is that like everyone talks about how bad Ronda's striking is, but they just glaze right over the fact that Mike Perry looks like he's never stepped into a gym in his life. You know, it's like, oh, he's ripped and he has abs, but like there's just huge levels between high level striking and high level MMA striking. And I don't mean to shit on Mike Perry. I think Mike Perry's cool and all that, but I haven't been impressed with Darren Till. That's all I'm saying.
You behaved pretty well until like 15 minutes into the interview, so props. I'm just kidding. My last question, go back to the Vegas gyms at the PI and such, just because the fans love to hear this crap. Like, anyone great you worked with? Any moments that stood out to you in the gyms? Any fun stories?
I just worked with Sean Strickland like 2 weeks before his fight. Chandra runs a wrestling program at the PI a couple days a week with Jason Manley. I work with Jason Manley all the time, and I finally ended up in the same room with Sean, and we had sparred together a little bit back in the day. Sean, I don't want to say that what he does on streams or whatever is a character, because I think it probably is him at some point, but I was just blown away at how helpful and articulate and what a good coach he was when we worked on that thing, and he helped me out with some cool stuff. And a lot of people Ariel Helwani is shitting on him for taking back his thing, but I thought that was like the most like endearing quality about him. I thought it was absolutely spot on. I hope that we see more of that out of Sean in the future. I think he's actually a really good dude, and you know, it's hard to everyone's talking about the GOAT and weight class GOATs, but like you look up Sean's record of who he's fought in middleweight, it's really hard to not say that he's one of the best, if not the best middleweight of all time. So what he did to Khamzat the amount of people thought that he had no chance in that. So it was cool seeing that out of Sean, and I was really like pretty blown away at what a great coach and a good training partner he was when I worked with him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Sean's the man. I was there in person. Incredible performance, great event. I was super excited. But Joe, I've kept you here for 20 minutes, so I'm going to let you go. I know you got a week to the fight, so go focus on that. But before I get you out of here, anything for all your fans and people excited for the return?
Yeah, check out the fight. I hope you guys enjoy it. It'll be the same Joe Schilling you saw 7 years ago or whatever. It's going to be a fucking fireworks. I've changed absolutely nothing, and I'm going to fucking rip this motherfucker's head off.
Show the proof. We got to see the fist, bro. Mean. Joe Schilling, ladies and gentlemen, returns May 23rd, PFL Brussels. Joe, thanks so much, man. Kick some
Yeah, no
ass,
worries.
right?
Thank you, brother. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too, bro.